Stugotz here. Is there something that interferes with your happiness or is preventing you from achieving your goals? If so, BetterHelp Online Counseling is there for you. BetterHelp offers licensed professional counselors who are specialized in issues such as depression, stress, anxiety, relationships, sleeping, trauma, anger, family conflicts, LGBT matters, grief, self-esteem, and more. Connect with your professional counselor in a safe and private online environment. And, of course, anything you share is confidential. You can now get help at your own time and at your own pace. You can schedule secure video or phone sessions, plus chat and text with your therapist. It's so convenient. And if you're not happy with your counselor, you can request a new one at any time at no additional charge. Best of all, it's a truly affordable option. Batard listeners, right now, you can get 10% off your first month with discount code STU. So why not get started today? Go to BetterHelp.com/Stu. That's BetterHelp.com/Stu. Simply fill out a questionnaire to help them assess your needs and get matched with a counselor you'll love. Start bettering yourself today. Head to BetterHelp.com/Stu. BetterHelp.com/Stu. The Dan Le Batard with Stugotz Show podcast is presented by Capital One. This is Banking Reimagined.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
Guillermo, put it on the poll, please. Do you already miss crowd noise? And also, put it on the poll, do you want to strangle Florida spring breakers with your bare hands? Now, I am echoing in my headset, and I want the audience to know something as we sink into the stink of doing this radio show on remote. I don't know how many of you guys, Chris and Billy and Mike and Stugotz, I don't know how many of you guys have been watching how entertainment has changed as everybody gets a little more quarantined. But John Oliver doing his show without crowd noise becomes a different show. Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert trying to do their shows from home. I mean, Howard Stern's not even doing his show. Conan O'Brien is trying to figure out a way to do his show. And we are being held together here by rope and bandages and string. Mike Ryan just moments ago just took my credit card and made some sort of payment so that I can see Chris and Billy and Tony, and I don't have any idea what that payment is for. I know that everyone just disappeared a second ago, and the message was taking your meetings from basic to pro on my phone, and so it's just chaos. And what I wanted to ask you, Stugotz, is, and forgive me for being a little self-involved here, we'll get into whatever sports news there is in a little bit, but I've been hugely frustrated the last 3 days because we're doing too common of a radio show. And while you guys have been very kind in the audience saying thank you for giving us some sense of normalcy, I've been hugely frustrated because I can't have our normal conversations with Billy and Chris and Tony and Roy and Mike, and it's just me sort of talking and then waiting for Stugotz to talk. And then what happens, Stugotz? What is that? All right, let's...
I don't know what happened. I didn't do anything, man.
Okay.
I dialed in like I have every single day, and, I mean, you must have thrown it to me, and I wasn't there for you. I didn't do anything.
No, what you did was, first of all, I heard something fall. Stop yelling at you. I haven't started yelling at you yet.
Hey, but you're about to. I know you.
I heard something fall in the background, and finally your vision came up on my computer, and all I saw was your butt crack because you were bent over doing something, saying that nothing fell to the ground, while all that was on the screen was your butt crack as you bent over. And you've been complaining that you hurt your back doing yoga, so you bent over incredibly stiffly. What happened during yoga? Why are you doing yoga?
Well, I mean, listen, I tried meditation, and yesterday I tried yoga. I was not very good at meditating, so I went to yoga yesterday. And because I'm unaware and not really accepting the fact that I am getting a lot older, Dan, I tried to go to like advanced yoga instead of beginner yoga because I figured I could handle it. And it hurt, man. Yoga is hard. My back is really strained from trying to do yoga. I tried to do things with my body that I simply cannot do.
For those of you who do not know, Stugotz's back has hurt for about 7 years, and his solution to every back problem is to get the epidural medicine that women use when they go through labor. Instead of doing ab crunches to strengthen his core like he was doing yesterday during commercial breaks, what he does is he makes sure that something taps into his spinal fluid so that he could get back relief. It's probably not much in the way of a solution. But what I wanted to talk to you and Mike about as we try to get Billy and Tony and Chris and Roy up here is, do you guys remember, and you know how miserable I was when we were doing this show because I sort of value the way the intimacy of radio. Like, our show has become sticky in a strange way over the years because we are a bit of a dysfunctional family that exists inside of your head largely. And it's super intimate. It's an old-fashioned medium. It's one of the reasons that I love radio more than all the mediums is because there are so many people out there where we are sort of the friends in your head, the voices in your head. And then ESPN wanted to televise it, and we agreed to televise it. And we moved into these studios that were big and ornate, and the ocean was in the background. And if you're wondering these days why we work in a closet, in a janitor's closet, it's because we never figured it out. Like, we had this big studio, and me and Stugotz are sitting, and it looked like a television show, and Mike was sitting in front of a big screen. What happened, Mike? The Roomba is making too much noise?
I'm wondering how long it is you're going to go without addressing the fact that your Roomba has hit us in the feet 17 times in this first segment.
All right, I just turned it off. Yes. Do you know what? Put it on the poll, Guillermo. Do you know what a Roomba is? I like the idea of a robot working for me when I'm not cleaning the house.
It struck his feet like 6 times, no lie, during that opening segment, and he's just chill. Like, under all these circumstances, everything else makes him uncomfortable, but the Roomba striking his foot is like the most normal thing.
Let me explain something to you. What's been happening to me for the last 3 days. At this point, I am so uncomfortable doing a radio show that we have been hugely relaxed and comfortable and confident doing for the better part of 2 damn decades. I could be hit by lightning during a segment and I wouldn't even notice. Like, I would just keep talking. I was just like, how many interceptable passes did Jameis Winston have last year if I was struck by lightning? So anyways, my point is we never figured it out. We just changed studios. The reason we work in a closet is because of the intimacy of being able to see everybody's faces and when somebody wants to talk and when somebody's got the joke. And so this has been a lot of trial and error, and we've been stumbling around. And the technology is a real bafflement to me because not only am I getting old, Stugotz, but yesterday we're taping something for what we're calling Highly Quarantined, okay? And I'm talking to Mina Kimes and I'm talking to Katie Nolan. And for some reason, as I'm talking or giving my take on whatever it is the subject of the day was, my computer starts talking. But I didn't know it was my computer. I just heard somebody's computer talking. And it's because my elbow was on the wrong button of something because I'm using this computer in a way that I've never used this computer before. But anyways, so to let the audience look behind the curtain a little bit, you remember, Stugotz, you remember how many months did we do that show on Fusion Television before we had to move it because we never did figure out how to do what our radio show normally is. It's not any kind of normal now. I'm hoping we figure this out over time. I think we might figure it out over time, but I'm not very good at change. How many months do you think it was before we just had to nuke the whole thing?
You know what? We were in that big studio where you do HQ. It felt, it felt like it was probably a year. It felt like 5 years. It felt like we were there for 5 years. You really weren't comfortable with it from the standpoint where we could not make eye contact with our producers. We were in separate rooms. We were looking at Billy, Chris, and Roy through a television screen. And I am hoping upon hope here, Dan, that you get more comfortable doing it this way because I feel like we're going to be doing it this way for a while. So
well, and so for those of you who haven't been listening, just so that you know like how this has been put together with bandages, every time that you hear from Billy or Chris or Roy or Tony, it's Mike taking his headset off because I'm asking Mike, I'm telling him, hey, Mike, do we have another headset here? It's Mike taking his headset off and putting the microphone of his headset up to the speakers of my computer so that you can hear however distorted it sounds. And it sounds a lot worse to me and Stugotz because you got Tony and Billy and Bristol and Mike, riding the levels. But what we're hearing, I'm hearing myself in my ears. I'm hearing things that are distracting. I'm hearing you guys come across poorly, tinny, and empty. And so what ends up happening is I get hugely self-conscious. I get vulnerable. I start sweating. I get uncomfortable. And then what do? Let's talk sports. And in about a month, we ain't going to have any of those to talk about. So the problem that we have is that we need to get this figured out in a hurry, right? Because when we're together in that small closet, much of the content comes from just you being an idiot, pinballing around the room, just talking to everybody, bothering everybody, and now you're just locked in your house, and the only content we get from you is that you hurt your back doing yoga or you tried to do meditation for 90 seconds. Like, it's not like I need you for the content. It's one of the many reasons our marriage has lasted as long as it has, even though you are profoundly unctuous. Like, you are a fountain of content, and you're not interacting with other human beings, so I don't have any of the funny interactions to work with.
What do we do? You painted such a bleak picture.
No, I hope we figure it out, but I'm just trying to be honest with the audience so that they understand, like, it is not acceptable to me how common our show has sounded over the last 3 days. Like, the standard that we've established, sloppy by design, the idea that bad radio is good radio, it only becomes bad radio if we're not sinking into it and enjoying it. And it's been very hard for me to enjoy under these conditions because my default, which it's never the case, Stugotz, like, I never do what I've been doing the last 3 days. Let me get to the clock at the end of the segment. Let me just get to the next guest for some relief. That is not how we do the show. The show, we're not even paying attention to the clock. We're just talking through things that are interesting, and then maybe we blow through the clock by 3 minutes. But the last 3 days, all I've been doing is like, where's my ending on this? And then it starts to feel like work. And bleep that, Stugotz. I'm too old and been doing this too long to be having this feel like work. Like, this is, I just want to fool around and laugh a little bit.
Dan thinks the shows this week have been common.
Common.
Throw the mic at the speaker, Mike. Throw this mic at the speakers. Laugh, everybody. Laugh.
Dan, they're all laughing. I promise you it sounds good. It just doesn't sound good right now. Laughter. You deserve a better way to stream the sports you love. ESPN Plus gives you exclusive access to thousands of live events from the UFC, MLS, MLB, NHL, and more. Plus, you'll get replays, the entire 30 for 30 library, and ESPN Plus original shows from superstars like Peyton Manning, Alex Morgan, Kevin Durant, and LeBron James. Stream sports the way they were meant to be, always in HD, on the big screen, or on the go. Sign up now at ESPNplus.com.
So the last couple of days, Mike Ryan might as well have done the show with his hair on fire. He has not sat down one time in 3 days. He is pushing all sorts of buttons around here to get the echo out of my ear and everything else. And I'm just telling you, as I again look at the Stugotz butt crack on this Zoom conference, what are you doing?
Sorry about that.
What are you doing?
I was adjusting my levels, Dan, that's all.
You on the floor?
Well, listen, I don't have Mike there to do it for me, so I have to bend down and do it.
You could have had Chris there to do it for you, but you don't return any of his texts.
No. Here's the deal. Chris and I are playing a little game of cat and mouse. I am telling you, Chris is afraid. Chris is acting like he wants to come up here, but he doesn't really want to come up here, and I'm acting like I want Chris up here, but I don't really want Chris up here, and not because Chris and I don't love each other. We do. We love each other very much. But because Chris is uncertain whether he's carrying around this coronavirus, and I am uncertain if I'm not carrying around the coronavirus. And so it's a little game of cat and mouse where it seems like a good idea in theory, but no one trusts the other. Is that right, Chris?
Yes. My wife, I told her this morning, hey, I'm going to head up to Stugotz's today to do a show. She's like, you're supposed to be staying home. Why are you going up there? And it just hit me. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I don't know if I have it. I don't know if Stugotz has it. Seems reckless. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to stay home. Plus all my food's here.
Okay, your beef stroganoff is still in the fridge at the Clevelander if you want to go run by there. and get it. So what I was going to say, though, is just so that everyone understands how we're being held together by bandages and wire right now. We are so many kinds of bleeped. If my internet just goes down, ESPN radio is just going to go off the air on 200 plus radio stations. And I have no idea if Bristol has prepared for the possibility of simply me having a bad internet connection, because there are times around here where the internet goes down for 12 hours and my entire life ends up shutting down. Put it on the poll, please, Guillermo. Are you at this point addicted to internet access? And does your life fall apart when the Wi-Fi does?
How does it feel, though, Dan, honestly? Like, when you don't have it for 12 hours, isn't it cathartic? Like, don't you yearn for that time? Or are we so accustomed to having internet in our life that it presents a problem for us?
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because, yes, there is great relief in not being addicted to the phone. The problem is that all my devices, everything here, is hooked up to the internet. So any television I want to watch, any access to Netflix, any access that I have to anything, it's not just that I'm not just losing my phone or my computer. What I'm losing is my ability to do anything other than read books.
This is actually different for us down here in South Florida, because normally when we're holed up in our own places, we don't have power. There's no gas out there. This does give off like hurricane vibes a little bit, but I am actually appreciating the fact that I could go on the internet. I can go on my phone. I can watch movies on any sort of streaming service. If this actually keeps going into hurricane season, though, we're going to have a problem down here in South Florida.
A problem? I am sitting here wondering, as we do all of this, Billy, do we ever get that sound cleared of those reckless spring breakers who have outraged everybody? Because we've got these beautiful days in South Florida. Like, the beach has never been this empty. And this space, it's a little Big Brother-ish down here and it seems inevitable. We are all headed to a quarantine that's going to be government mandated. Like, that seems where we're headed. As it is now, police officers are all over the place, and I just keep hearing megaphones and people being shouted at about, like, get out of here. But these spring breakers, who had and Chris gave voice to this when I was speaking last week about the idea that, around this coronavirus, it feels like a hysteria because most people can survive this. And Chris said, yeah, but old people have a problem here. And to hear those spring breakers, I don't know if we got this sound clear. Billy, were we allowed to? Because it was totally outrageous. Billy says no, and he does this by giving me a Matumbo finger wag.
I love this.
But were you guys upset by this? Billy, you saw this video, and I can't recreate it for you, but Stugotz was making the argument on behalf last week of, dumb college kids, the way you think you're bulletproof when you're young. But it was a little infuriating to me to see some people so close to my mother's house. My mother's 74 years old. She's in the prime risk demo. She's got respiratory issues. To have them be flippant this way around her house when they can be carrying this disease, like, I found myself getting angry at my phone. Did that happen to you at all, Billy, when you were watching this? Because the selfishness of it was really outrageous.
Yeah, it's annoying. If you want, I can try to recreate it. Ready? Should I recreate it?
Yeah, sure.
Bro, if I get corona, spring break, we planned this 2 weeks ago. I'm not going to cancel. I had 2 weeks to plan this. I just turned 21. I want to drink.
Excellent. That's an excellent
exactly what it sounded like. Yeah,
that's it. That was pretty good. Maybe we'll do it again next segment. Stugotz, tell the people about Blink. We are grateful that our sponsors during this difficult time have stayed with us, even as the economy is hurting. Tell the people why they need to support Blink and why it is they need to protect their families as we head toward an uncertain time. Like, I'm convinced at this point, Stugotz, that the only reason this country hasn't already shut down is because we got to get the National Guard ready to prevent looting and rioting when this thing does break down and everyone is officially mandated, as if it's not America, as if it's not a free country, mandated the way that China and South Korea sending everyone home. Tell people why Blink is important to have at this time
of year.
What
kind of intro to a spot is that?
It's a good intro.
Also, you have a social responsibility to not be doing that stuff and feeding speculation.
No,
also, I read that the CDC said today that young people are also at risk. A lot of the people that are hospitalized, it's sort of disproving that hot theory that was out there on limited information that it just affected older people. Many people between the ages of 20 and 54 have been hospitalized.
Let me defend Dan for a second.
Much better, by the way. Much better, Mike, the way that you just improved the intro to Blink.
I mean, let me defend Dan for a second. What he was doing is he was telling people, alarming people, you better get your Blink security cameras in order. That's what he was doing. It's a good job out of Le Batard. I am proud of him. Where do you need a Blink security camera? On your porch to help protect deliveries? That'd be a good place. How about helping keep your family safe when you travel? Alerting you when the kids get home from school. Probably a pretty good idea, although they're probably not going to school right now. Blink cameras are motion activated. When they detect something, they send an alert and a video clip to your Blink smartphone app. And the Blink XT2 features two-way talk. System start at just $79.99. So, where do you need Blink cameras? I have them everywhere. You should as well. Visit BlinkProtect.com/Dan. Do it today. BlinkProtect.com/Dan. ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance. SportsCenter brought to you by Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline. Guest on the Dan Le Batard Show appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Here's your SportsCenter update. NFL news from yesterday. The Jaguars traded Nick Foles to the Bears for a fourth-round pick. The Panthers have cut Eric Reed. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver told Rachel Nichols that the NBA is thinking of conducting a charity game to give fans who are stuck at home something to watch. He also said that he's not sure what the NBA schedule will look like, but he is not ready to think that the league would cancel the season. And finally, Tyra Banks is postponing the opening of Model Land due to the coronavirus. The theme park will emulate a fantasy version of the modeling world with state-of-the-art interactive entertainment where beauty, fashion, tech, theater, retail, and an eating extravaganza collide. The top-tier experience will let you experience your fantasy photo shoot in first class. You get veiled VIP seating, personal consultation with a Model Land fashion and beauty expert, handcrafted Model Land elixir, and assorted truffles, additional wardrobe changes, additional photographs from the shoot, a modeling goodies gift bag, a custom curated robe for Instagram, and more. The ultimate experience with Banks, called the Fantasine Dream, will set you back $1,495.
The what dream?
Fantasine Dream. Did I say it right?
I don't have any idea what the word is you're saying.
Fanta, like the soda, scene, dream. That's it. Fantasine Dream.
Okay, thanks for elaborating.
Just under $1,500. SportsCenter is brought to you by Bolt 24. It's advanced hydration for athletes off the field with antioxidant vitamins A and C, electrolytes from watermelon and sea salt, and no artificial flavors or sweeteners. Bolt 24, all-day hydration for all-day athletes. For all the latest headlines and information, tune in to SportsCenter on ESPN Radio all throughout the day.
Guillermo, put it on the poll. Does the Tyra Banks model theme park sound like a good idea to you at Le Batard Show? One of the things that we miss around here more than sports in being able to do our show is the library of stuff that we go to that allows us to provide the accents for the show. Stugotz had a good stat of the day, but we have neither the long version of the stat of the day intro that my father does or the short version. So, Mike, if you could just recreate for us the short version so Stugotz can give you the stat of the day.
Stat of the day, stat of the day. Here is the stat of the day. Stat of the day, stat of the day. Here is the stat of the day. Stat of the day, stat of the day. Here is the stat of the day. Stat of the day, stat of the day. Here is the stat of the day.
Short one.
Yeah, it's still the short one. Excellent. Lung capacity. You are strong, my friend. That's a good coronavirus test right there. Can you do that? Yes or no?
I feel like I don't have it, for sure.
Yeah, you're good. Stugotz, what is the stat of the day?
From Elias, assuming Jameis Winston will be in a different team this upcoming season, he will be the only quarterback over the last 40 seasons to have his first and last pass attempt with a franchise be a pick six.
That is so good right there. I was remiss yesterday because there was part of my analysis on the Tom Brady stuff. There was something that I overlooked while saying that he was pretty bad last year. And you should know, Stugotz, Jameis Winston's QBR last season was 53.7. You want to guess what Tom Brady's QBR was last season?
94.2.
53.7. He was exactly the same as Jameis Winston. You have Tom Brady having a rather remarkable season. I understand that you don't look into the numbers and you don't crunch QBR numbers and you don't even know what QBR is. Do you even know what the acronym stands for?
No. Okay. I don't even know what an acronym is.
All right. It's quarterback rating, but Jameis Winston and Tom Brady had the same one, 53.7. But the thing that I was remiss in not talking about yesterday in our analysis of this, because Tom Brady was bad last season. And while people are talking about Tampa Bay's weapons, the thing I do wonder about, Jameis Winston was so reckless and turnover prone at a time that you cannot be in that league reckless and turnover prone. He had 30 interceptions, and then he had another 9 passes that he threw that could have also been intercepted. So it's not just that he had 30 interceptions, most in the league by a lot, right? Because Baker Mayfield and Phillip Rivers were terrible last year, and they only had 21 interceptions. He also had more passes that should have been interceptions that were dropped than any other quarterback. Kyle Allen was second, and you saw how terrible he was by the end of the season last year. So, given that, if you put Brady in the backfield, even bad Brady, as he was the last 10 weeks of the season, and all you're changing about the Tampa Bay Bucs, let's say you're not changing anything else because their QBR was the same last season, but what you're changing is that last pass against Atlanta in a close game isn't a pick six. That what you're changing is that Tom Brady, no matter how bad he is, he's not throwing a lot of interceptions. These are his numbers the last decade throwing interceptions. 12, 8, 11, 9, 7, 2, 8, 11, 8. There were, guess how many quarterbacks last year, Stugotz, because the game has changed so much, right? Ben Roethlisberger, you can't win that way anymore. Old, reckless quarterback, that is not the way to win. If you turn the ball over too much, it's going to cost you at some point when you need one of those games. Want to guess how many quarterbacks last year had interceptions in the single digits? Didn't even go double digits on interceptions.
I'm going to say 2.
You've gotten much better, Stugotz, at this game of helping me out where you guess the number. It took you many years to learn how to do this. 21 quarterbacks.
What? Oh, my God.
21 quarterbacks had single digits interceptions. And it does make me wonder, and I don't know the answer to this question, but it does make me wonder if that's more important to Bruce Arians than how many weapons he has on offense. That if Tom Brady is depleted and all he's changing about his quarterback position is I'm putting someone in charge who's not going to turn the ball over. I blew past your point yesterday when you said, well, Peyton Manning did win the Super Bowl when he had 9 touchdowns and 17 interceptions. It was the worst season by far of his career. And he won the Super Bowl anyways. It makes me wonder, how much do you think an advantage it is if I just shave 20 interceptions off of the Bucs season? How much does it change 7 and 9?
I think it's a huge advantage. Of course it is. I mean, you also have to account for the 33 touchdowns that he had, right? So are they going to make all of those up with Tom Brady? And I think that they will. I think they'll get the same amount of touchdowns and they'll get fewer interceptions, and therefore I think they'll be a better team. It's going to be fascinating to watch. Yeah.
I want to know why it is you're feuding with Bill Simmons, because what were you mumbling about? What happened there?
Listen, this is your relationship, okay? You and Bill are very close friends, and I become friends. As an extension, I become friendly with Bill Simmons, but I'm not nearly the type of friend with Bill that you are. And you think Brady news, Boston news, there are 2 guys you want on. You want Bob Ryan, you want Bill Simmons. Bob Ryan was there for us the second we asked him. Bill Simmons still has not responded to me or Guillermo after making several requests. And why? Because he wants all the important Brady takes, or at least in his mind, he thinks his Brady takes are so important that he wants them on his podcast, and he doesn't want them on the Dan Le Batard show with Stugotz, two people that he's very friendly with, a company he used to work for. He doesn't want him here. He wants them on his own network, and I am outraged by this.
What is wrong? That's exactly how you would do it. Like, that's exactly the same thing. That's a good point. Yeah.
If you missed any of our interviews, check them out on demand in the Dan Le Batard Show podcast, brought to you by Capital One. Why settle for average? With Capital One, you can open a savings account with a rate 5 times the national average. Welcome to Banking Reimagined. Capital One. What's in your wallet? Capital One N.A., member FDIC. Sarah Spain going to join us in about 15 minutes here on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line.
She is the commissioner, and I think that we will have, so far, Chris Cody read to her some of the best submissions that we've had making fun of me and the names of action movies that the listeners have come up with that I would be starring in. You know, we got a bunch of them yesterday. I think The Fugitive was the best one we got. Hashtag Dan Action. We will have her make rulings, but you just heard Stugotz say where it is and how it is. You can listen to our interviews. And during this time, we are still trying to produce the same amount of content that we normally do, even though it's a bit difficult. And one of the interviews that Stugotz just did that was done for Stupidity, his wife made an appearance. And so I just want to give people a little taste of this. You could check out the whole thing at Stupidity, but let's check in first with Abby, Stugotz's very frustrated wife, talking about what it is that Stugotz has been doing around the house during this quarantine.
All right, it's been almost 7 days since you've been quarantined with him. Are you okay?
Okay. I'm good as I could be.
that doesn't sound promising. What has he been doing? What's it been like?
What has he been doing? What hasn't he been doing? I mean, he's in a room and demanding that the dogs stop barking, that I make a sandwich for lunch, that the girls stop fighting. I mean, you know, it's always something.
To me, he seems like oddly happy considering this coronavirus has taken over the world. Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, he seems very happy. He doesn't have to commute. He doesn't have to see Dan. He talks to you. He goes to play golf. I've actually never seen him happier.
Oh my goodness. Has he offered to help cook?
Nope.
Has he done any dishes?
Oh, please. He doesn't even know where the dishes are. Or where they go after they're washed.
All right,
I don't know the damn part. I mean,
that's about what we thought. I can't even imagine how much you go home to your wife and complain about me. Let's play some more sound of Abby talking about the movie binging and who it is that Stugotz has been talking to the most because he's happy to be away from me.
Is there a TV show or movie he's been trying to convince you to watch together?
Together. I get, you know, the movie, you know, Karate Kid. So there's a scene from the movie Valley Championship, and he's always rooting for this blonde kid, like hoping that the outcome will be different.
Is he chanting "sweep the leg"?
Yep, he is. Love that movie, but you know, it's not changing.
Oh, that's ridiculous. Who has he spoken with on the phone the most?
Adam Gates.
Oh, the Jets coach. What's he been saying?
I don't know. I hear him like screaming Brady or like I don't even know, to be honest with you.
There's more stuff you can find on Stupidity. I know a lot of you are fascinated by the Stugotz and Abby relationship. How long have you two been married?
16 years.
All right, yes. And he's super frustrating, as you can probably imagine. Being married to Stugotz must be a special kind of...
I don't know where she got that stuff about you, man. I mean, I've never said that to anybody.
I can't imagine where it is that she got that stuff. It couldn't be because she's close to certain sources who might have that information. Sarah Spain's going to join us next, and she is going to make a ruling on the best hashtag Dan Action mockery you guys have next.